Brad. Welcome.
It was just spinning.
Of the MMA Analysis podcast. Brad messed up the countdown. I like to do the Wayne's World approach.
Okay, Lance made me tweet out that we were live, and then he was like, "Wait, hold on! I got to restart my computer because I got this hick-ass Nashville internet." So I'm not hearing any of that. None of this is my fault. It's all Lance's fault.
It's not the internet. It's the computer my great company gives me. I don't own my own computer. I just use my work one because why would I need two laptops? My kids have their own laptop.
I used to. I mean, I'm not going to look up porn on my work computer.
That's what your phones are for.
Yeah, I know, but I want to have access in different rooms, man. Some stuff's hooked up to the Chromecast, some stuff,
That's fair. Maybe we should, the countdown to get in the show, we should go the Wayne's World approach, though. They never failed once. The 5, 4.
Hyper Blue is very right. we should be ashamed of ourselves.
You can go see Big Marley for your refund. He is, from what I've heard, excellent.
He's great at refunds if you buy the premium package.
Yes, he's very good at refunds.
I just hope that Marley, my bad, MMA Bully is watching tonight.
MMA Bully, hop in the chat. I want to. We'll invite you on the show.
So if you guys aren't, if you listen to the show but you don't follow us on Twitter, I apparently have had a stalker for the last week or so, and he created an account, sent me like 20 tweets, and then he started going after Andrew. And now Wes is included, and then Brad's included.
Going after Andrew that's across the line, man. Like that's the nicest dude ever.
I'll throw some hands over that shit.
Yeah. Well, I think where he crossed the line is he said, "You guys wish you were as successful as BroHugs and Marley." I made more money today from my job than they have ever made doing MMA, for sure. So that was the crossing the line there. And speaking of successful, have you ever think about, when something's hot, supply and demand, stuff like that. If something is doing really, really well, like let's say it's a pair of Jordans, right? You ever seen Jordan say, "I'm doing so well, 75% off"? Like the new Jordans that come out, exactly. You get 75% off.
They don't go down, bro. They go
up. Yeah, brand new video game. Everyone wants it. It's hard to get it. Or the PS5. Like PS5's hotter than hot. 75% off.
If you don't like it, we'll give you a refund and you can keep it.
We'll give you another one next week. If it doesn't work, we'll give you another one next week for free.
Yeah. BroHug.
I gotta stay on the wife. She might be pregnant, but she's got to keep working those 3 jobs so I can take my Vegas trip and you know what I'm saying, buy new shoes and shit like that. Got to keep the wife working.
Yeah,
stop bullying me, MMA Bully. I'm just your average mower and weed puller.
Tell your wife to buy you a new microphone because
is it fucking up again?
We're having technical difficulties in the MMA Analysis tonight, per usual.
Exactly.
It is not good.
Maybe we should start asking for donations so that we can improve our technical proficiency.
Yeah, we seem to be getting worse throughout the years of the show in terms of quality.
That's what the people come for.
They do. Well, we don't have any recaps or anything because we did that last week. Well, I didn't because I don't do just the recap shows. You can't spend the big money on me doing recap shows. You just don't get the bang for your buck. So I skipped that one. What else do you guys want to talk about before we get into the card?
Pitbull's pretty good at fighting, but I know you don't want to talk about that.
He might
that TNT broadcast for one was terrible.
Great.
That is not how you want your first thing to go at all.
That was great.
The Rice finish of DJ was fucking amazing. Like you want that kind of finish. You just don't want it being to your most known dude, and you're over here in the States, But
well, the other part that happened after that, like everything was out of sorts in that show. Because after the fight, they were like, "Oh man, Adriano Moraes, what a great knockout! Oh, we're interviewing DJ, huh?"
DJ, Yeah, and then they like the whole thing with fucking Eddie.
Yeah.
They just go away. They don't explain, and they're just like,
Yep.
"Oh, that's a disqualification. We think that's a no contest." They literally didn't do shit. Came back, interview Eddie. He's crying and shit. It's like, what the fuck is going on, dude?
It was nice to see Eddie lose, though.
Yeah, I know you hate yourself some Eddie.
It was nice to see. I enjoyed it. That guy is one of the most obnoxious people on social media you can ever find. So that was good to see. He shouldn't cheat, man. Cheaters never win. He was just slamming that back of the head. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I
Good
think
referee.
me and Brad kind of tweeted about it. It's like there was a few that were kind of behind the head, but man, oh boy was literally like tucking his head in and shit. Like he got drugged down quick and was about to get fucked up.
Oh, he was.
That's some vet shit. Come on, that's some vet shit. Tuck your head in, take a couple to the back of the head, act like you're fucking out of it. He even let him stretcher his ass out the game.
Yeah, that was the best.
I appreciate that commitment. That's good.
Well, it was funny because like if you watch the sequence, the back he hits him in the back of the head a bunch, right? And then the guy
he hits him right behind the ear a bunch.
He hits him right here.
One glances to the back of the head.
He gets hit a bunch right here in the head, back of the head, whatever. He gets hit a bunch, and he has the wherewithal to go, hey man, can you stop this? He's cheating. He's hitting the back of the head. After he stopped talking, Eddie threw one more punch, and then the guy got stretchered out. So he got stretchered out from one hammer fist to the forehead.
He fell straight back too, dude. As soon as he took that one that was kind of flush, like the one that looked like it kind of hurt. He just felt that good one hit kind of good and was like, it was out.
This is the time. This is the dive time.
This is my way out, baby. He gave it to me.
Well, even more than the guy, like everyone gives the fighter shit and like, but the referee, it's like there was shots to the back of the head. There was 2 or 3 clean shots to the back of the head. Now it could have been because he turned his head and what he was doing with him, but a good referee would have said, hey, stop. Like if he was going to do something, stop right now. But instead he let 3 or 4 more hit and then he let Eddie throw that hammer fist. If the ref really was going to, stop him for, illegal shots, he could have stopped him 5 or 6 shots before that. He basically waited until the fight was over and was like, yeah, those were illegal.
Yeah.
Red. I saw the red card. I was like, what the fuck's going on? I was like, he sent off the pitch. He's gone.
Eddie's down to 3 limbs now. Tight hand behind his back.
His cornerman's got to get in there and fight for him instead. That's how it works. You got to bring in the sub.
So that was, I can't think of, outside of production and the weirdness and everything, like could that event have gone worse? Like I never watched one. I don't even know how to watch one until this event. I tried to find Askren fights when he was fighting there, but like very difficult, hard to find. And this is the first time, like I know I really tuned in live, and a lot of people for the first time are live. Really 2 of their only stars that they could possibly have lose in hilarious ways. DQ'd, and then Mighty Mouse gets flatlined for the first time in his career. Like that could not have gone worse. Like they should just act like it didn't happen and then just put those 2 fights on again on the next card and not even talk about the first ones.
Yep. That was not good. You're right. Like I catch the replays and shit. And I've caught a few on. They usually play like Friday mornings, so nobody over here in the States is watching unless you're like hard fucking core.
Yeah.
But they have some exciting guys over there. You can't have your 2 American stars get taken out like that when that's your first primetime event over here. And you got a TNT audience, which is pretty big. Like TNT does great numbers for NBA and shit. I'm not saying it's going to be on par with NBA, but that's the core demographic that you want on a Wednesday night. Well, not good.
This was like the old school recipe for MMA because this was wrestling leading into an MMA card because this was like AEW going into one, right?
And they're like pretty big now from everything I read. Like AEW is like fast rising in viewership and stuff in this country now. Like it's getting very, very popular. That was the perfect lead in for, and that's like Brad said, that's the old school recipe for getting MMA fans. Like a lot of them crossed over back in the day.
Yep.
All right. So I think that's it for for previous news.
Oh, I will say we'll go talk about Pitbull. Pitbull against AJ McKee is one of the best fights that can be made in all of MMA.
Very true. Yes.
All of MMA. I don't care how you feel about Bellator, how you feel about any other promotion. That is one of the and I really, really hope that we get to see AJ McKee in the UFC one day, because I don't think he's ever going to get the due that he deserves. Kind of like Pitbull hasn't. But I think that kid is the real fucking deal. I actually think he's going to beat Pitbull, and I hope he makes his way over to the big show one of these days, because that kid's for real.
The problem is, like, especially if you become champ, you're never leaving.
No, they pay too much money. Why would you leave, though, if you're like the champ over there? You get paid very fucking well over there if you're one of the fewer big name guys over there.
Well, I think with Pitbull too, you know, like Pitbull's always, you know, he's amazing, right? I think there's no denying Pitbull is a top guy in the world. And
Pitbull's like a top 3 bantamweight in the UFC. And somehow he's the top 1 featherweight and lightweight in Bellator.
Well, I think the thing with Pitbull, and you've heard it a lot more recently, I feel like he's kind of having, I don't know the right word, not remorse, but I feel like he now wishes he might have done it a little bit differently the last year.
Yeah.
You can tell by his tweets and shit about Michael Chandler and shit. You can tell that he really wishes he would have.
I'm the champ, Michael Chandler. I beat him, blah blah blah. And then he said yesterday, a couple days ago, he's like, we should do a crossover event and all this stuff. I'm like, dude, you signed the paper. You knew what you were getting into. And if anything, this is the best competition, you know, Pitbull will face. You know, he's faced some really good guys, but it's just different. Winning a world title in Bellator and all that is different. It's different than the UFC, regardless of the caliber. And I know Bellator's got some good guys, especially in that division. But at the same time, it's like, it's Bellator, man. Like, if I walk up to a random person and I go, this guy's the Bellator champ, they'll go, what is Bellator? People don't even know the name Bellator. Like, I know not everyone knows UFC champions and stuff like that, like names, but there's not a person on earth that doesn't know the UFC. There's a lot of people on earth that never heard of Bellator. Most of them.
I don't know. I kind of look at it a little different way. I agree with your premise, but I don't even look at it like kind of the competition at the top in the UFC. Take the names off of it. That's proven something. Like the top of the echelon of the competition in the weight classes of the UFC is consistently just fighting better guys. I mean, Pitbull could fight, you know, one or two maybe really good guys. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The UFC, they're lined up at the top 4, 5, 6 guys.
I mean, even this fight, like, was the Sanchez fight, right? Like, Sanchez is, you know, he's a top guy in the weight class. He's definitely top 4, top 5, something like that in the weight class. Is that guy even top? Is he even ranked in the UFC? If he's in the UFC, like, is he even a ranked fighter? Maybe not. You know, like he's not
like
even
borderline top 15. Yeah.
Borderline, right? And that's and that's the guy Pitbull beats to get to the finals of this gigantic Grand Prix. He beats an average guy. You know, like he beats someone that's average, and people love and I get it. Like, I like that we have Bellator and these other in PFL and stuff. I like that we get, you know, other events that I enjoy watching. What I don't like is when we have top tier guys in these events. I love PFL because it's a bunch of old washed out dudes that, like, I don't give a shit if they're at the UFC or not. They're not overly great. And if they're younger than they are, they can get to the UFC if they want to. But I don't like seeing a guy like Pitbull or a guy like McKee in Bellator, because I want to see those guys fight in the UFC. I want to see, maybe Pitbull should fight Dumont, right? But, like, I want to see, though, I want to see these top tier guys, and half of, like, Baders and Machidas, that's great. That sounds fine, right? But, like, I don't want to see these young top guys in Bellator, and I also don't want to see guys who are in their like a Pitbull. He's the peak of his prime right now. He's only got a couple years of it, right? He's been in some wars. He's been hit a lot, but, like, we'll never know. Like, yeah, we know with Michael Chandler, but there's a difference when you get in that big stage, when you get in the UFC, when you're fighting on a UFC pay-per-view for the title. That is different than fighting on Bellator in front of 15 people.
Yeah, that's a bit. And, you know, props to a guy like Chandler that, you know, he put it on the line. He took the chance. He could have stayed over there and kept making good money. And
he's got a huge payday now.
Yeah, and he got to the point in his career, he's like, I need to prove myself in the quote unquote big show, and it paid off. He bet on himself, and it paid off big time.
And who's smarter than all of them? Lance Palmer, baby.
Oh, just
making millions.
Hey,
Because
say what you want about any of these guys. Nobody has made better business decisions in MMA than Lance fucking Palmer. Nobody.
That's right.
But here's the thing: Lance Palmer is never going to be a champion in the UFC. He's not an exciting guy. He's never going to get these big paychecks. He's never going to win a belt. Any of that stuff. No reason for Lance Palmer to go to the UFC. Pitbull's a different story because I think when you look at the pay and you go, these guys like Bellator guys at top, they can make a lot of money. Some of these Bellator guys are making more than the UFC. That's correct. Pitbull's not going to make more than the UFC champion. He's not going to get those pay-per-view points. He's not.
I don't know. The UFC champion is Volkanovski, so
he makes more money than Pitbull. Should he?
Does he?
Yes.
Does he?
Yep.
He sells like 35 pay-per-views. 35 pay-per-views, no sponsorship money.
Yeah, Pitbull's making six figures in sponsorship money in Bellator and shit. Like he's
no one watches it. Why would you sponsor him? What do you get?
I mean, they can though, but they do. They got sponsors on their fucking like it used to be, and Pitbull's making six figures in sponsorship. But yeah, you're right for most cases, like you're not making as much as a UFC champion.
With Pitbull's style. How he is, how he fights.
Oh, he'd be one of the most popular. Yeah, he'd be one of the most popular fucking guys on the planet if he fought in the UFC.
Yep. And but he's at his peak, right? He can't make more money. He can't get more popular in Bellator. He just can't. Not enough people watch it, especially now they're on Showtime. Now they're behind, a paywall, right? Like you have to pay to see Pitbull now. He's not getting a cut of the Showtime, like all that stuff. So if Pitbull, with how popular he is, if he was in the UFC and he got to that championship level, that guy's making bank because he would be ultra popular. His style is exciting. He can go up and down in these different weight classes. He actually talks okay. He's pretty funny. Like
speaks English. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
He talks shit. Like he talks shit and backs it up. People love that. They absolutely love that.
He's never gonna he can't get wealthy, right? Like he's not gonna be. You can't get super, super rich. Big time known guy in Bellator. You just can't.
I mean, if he wants to move back to Brazil, he'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, and it's not that these guys aren't as talented. Look at Eddie Alvarez. Look at Michael Chandler. These guys that have come over, they've come over and they've been great. I don't think anyone at this point can deny that Pitbull is one of the best in the world. And I said even 5-6 years ago, I thought Michael Chandler was one of the best in the world, and I wanted him to come over to the UFC because his style is dangerous. And now Michael Chandler is headlining a pay-per-view for a UFC title.
And he's lucky it worked out the way it did for him because he's at like the end of his physical peak. Yep. If it didn't happen now, it was never going to happen. Mm-hmm. So
he made the right
even though he finally took that chance, like he still got a little bit lucky that it played out that way.
And he's going to die. I mean, that guy could literally die in his next fight, but you got to give it to him. The guy took a chance. He took a cush job at Bellator where he could just be knocking out bums left and right, earning pretty good money. He took a chance to go to the UFC where he's going to make more money in his next fight than he's ever made in Bellator. Not even close. Like title fight, pay-per-view headliner. He's going to make a shit ton of that, and good for him. Now he's going to get choked out in front of millions of people. That's probably not fun to do, but at least he gets to do it in front of millions of people.
Yeah,
I had to just like go back and look again because I thought it was a fever dream, but somehow Michael Chandler was an underdog against Dan Hooker.
Yes,
that was the thing that happened.
No way. Did
buy my package?
Did we make a bunch of money on Chandler as a dog against Dan Hooker? Did that actually happen? Sorry, MMA bully. My wife doesn't have to work her third job this week. I'm still counting.
She's down to 2 full-time and a part-time. It's 2.5 now.
Yep.
Thanks, Michael Chandler.
So let's now move on to this week's card. So there's a lot of fights. I'm probably going to miss
so many fights.
Thiccc Willie's second fight. It's Shane's birthday party on Saturday, and we got a bouncy castle.
Oh, what time's the birthday party starting though?
11 to 1. So I'm gonna have to find a way to watch.
I think
prelims in my pocket.
I think prelims start at 10 though.
Hold on,
because this is a real card? It's a real early card.
Yeah, it's too early. That's why it sucks. The birthday party.
Oh my god, no way.
Birthday party's in the morning.
I don't know.
Wes, somebody's commenting on your mic again.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, I started doing it again. Is this just like hold it really tight like this?
But yeah, I think the prelims start at 10 a.m.
So
that's perfect because you'll get whatever fight is first, and then Thiccc Willie, and then the birthday party will start.
No,
and you'll be good.
The fight started at 10:30. So Thiccc Willie's going to start at 11, which is
at
the birthday party.
I mean, what's more important?
I know.
Some of this or your son? Come on.
That's true. I tweeted at Thiccc Willie and asked him if he would come out to the Down with the Sickness song as his walkout, but then edit over it Down with the Thickness.
Yeah.
So we'll see if he does it.
I heard that, I'm not sure if I can call him a friend of the podcast anymore because he refused to come on yesterday. But Dan said he was talking to Thiccc Willie's manager.
Hello.
We got you, Wes. You're good. Yeah. And he said he was trying to convince him to drop the Nightmare name in favor of Thiccc Willie. So if that happens,
what if he comes out to Thiccc Willie? What if William Thiccc Willie Knight?
I would do a BroHugs level sponsorship deal if Thiccc Willie came out with Thiccc Willie.
Where BroHugs pays fighters $50.
Yeah, I'm buying all of those fight kits. So many fight kits.
I'll double it.
Thiccc Willie has spread more than any of our ridiculous nicknames, I would say, in the history of the show.
I think it's going to spread to the point where that actually becomes his nickname. It's going to happen.
It's already close on the interwebs. Like everybody I see now refers to him as Thiccc Willie.
Yeah,
like straight up.
Like actual media people, which is good. I think Aaron even is calling him Thiccc Willie now. And Aaron wouldn't come on our show as a guest this week because he was scared he would get fired.
That's fair. That's reasonable.
Yeah.
He would have been. He would have been fired. So that's good. Aaron, good friend. Good friend. All right. Now let's
before we get into the fights, because this is more interesting.
Best podcast nicknames?
Yeah.
There's
a lot of them.
We just had one just a couple of weeks ago. Like Modest Bukkake is literally one of the all-time.
That's a good one.
Is a good one. It sucks that he sucks.
What was the one we talked about from like 6 years ago?
Jambalaya.
Yeah,
no, it was a different one we talked about. It was a Georgian guy. We just talked about the podcast like 2 weeks ago.
Who came? Brad, you had who was the Georgian snooze machine?
Oh, that's Marab.
That's Marab, yeah.
There was the one we talked about a couple weeks ago. It was a guy from like 6-7 years ago. We just talked about this.
Yeah, I remember
Georgian guy. I don't know. I'd have to go back and take a look. We just go through. Yeah, there it is.
Oh,
Levon Makdessi.
That's the best one. That's the best one.
There's nothing.
G Fishy hooking it up. That's my favorite one. Levon Makdessi. That is that's a good one.
Yeah.
This is why we get 10 listeners every week.
All 10 of them.
All 10 of them. This is it.
Yep. That's great. All right. Let's jump into this card. We got a lot of fights to break down. We'll start off on the early preliminary card. Wait, what's the point of the early preliminary card at this point? Just fucking so they're all on ESPN Plus anyway. What's the difference? Welterweight division, Impa Kasanganay versus Sasha Palatnikov. He's Russian.
Oh.
Brad?
Yeah, he beat a guy, the Palladium guy beat a dude that came off of Contender Series and was hyped up, and I wasn't incredibly impressed. Basically, he got beat up for the first round, and then the other dude gassed. Impa's dropping down to 170. Maybe that's concerning a little bit if you think that the gas tank's going to be an issue here, but he kind of relies on being a grindy type of dude. So I just think whatever happens in the first round, he's going to survive. He's not going to get highlight reeled like he did against Buckley. And then he probably controls the second and third, whether it's on the feet or takedowns, wins the decision here. Impa is like the welterweight Czech Congo. He looks a lot better than he fights.
That's a good one. Wes?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that. We're not going to see Impa getting highlight reeled in this fight. I don't believe. I think this probably goes to decision, but Brad's ready to hit on some. We'll have to see if this gas tank at 170. He's a big dude, and if he does, kind of get out of that first, man. I just don't know, but I might play a little bit on the under here. Something tells me one of these dudes is going to get finished here. Now, I think Impa ends up getting this guy out of here at some point. So no play for me yet on how I'm going to pick Impa. I might look to play fight inside the distance or the under.
You're crackling again. I don't know what it is. It must be maybe the volume's too high because Brad messed it up.
No, I changed it back to automatically adjust. It's got nothing to do with me.
We got technical issues tonight in the podcast.
Wes needs to get a Q-tip or something in that headphone jack on the computer and
the microphone.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm a computer guy.
How about now?
Yep, same thing. Try something new. I didn't remember this Sasha fella until I remember he fought one of those brothers on his last
the Cochise. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that guy. He was fun. That was a fun fight. I think Impa's nothing special. But I think he's decent. I think he's gonna beat some guys. I think he's gonna lose a lot and win a lot. I think he's gonna fight often, and he doesn't have anything special, but he can grind it out. He is an athlete. He's an A+ athlete with maybe a D skill set. And sadly, in the UFC nowadays, that can get you a lot of wins. So we'll see. We'll see how far Impa goes. But I think in this one, I think he can grind this out. He can push him against the cage. He can work his boxing a little bit. Maybe even try to sneak in some takedowns. I think his cardio will be fine. This guy just seems like an athlete. His cardio never seemed like an issue. I think the issue is going to be if he's getting in this kind of war, is he going to get countered? Is he going to get hit? I think that's the worry here. I'm not laying, what is it, minus 250 or whatever, I think, on Impa. That's just not something I'm going to do.
Yeah, the cheapest right now is 274.
That's
a lot.
That's a little much. All right, let's go to the light heavyweight division in the main event of the evening. Jung versus
I'm sorry, you didn't pronounce it properly.
Jung?
It's Da Unhung.
The Unhung. It's a whole tribe out in Southeast Asia, dude.
Yeah.
I forget you said that. The Unhung versus Thiccc Willie. Not a hard fight to break down.
No.
Maybe I can draw a picture or something.
Oh my god. Break out the whiteboard.
Guys, biggest size disparity in UFC history. I mean, we're talking
oh man,
this is
that's like me to a MMA bully right there. Like fuck.
Something like this. So you can see here.
That's Marley.
This is this is the Asian fellow over here.
Yep.
This is where we get down with the thickness.
First of all, UFC, stop Asian hate.
Free the whiteboard.
Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? This is unacceptable. This is a guy that should have lost a decision to Sam Alvey.
Yep.
Facing Thiccc Willie.
The thickness.
I'm betting this. I bet this on the opening line. The opener was minus 110 on both sides. I bet it a little bit there because I was like, I need to make sure that I get at least a little bit at this price. Yeah. And now it's plus 120. This dude was even money against Menafield, and now he's an underdog.
Who is
this
pounding,
guy?
What kind of person pounds the Unhung versus the thickness?
Nobody pounds the Unhung.
No one.
No
one. Sam Alvey wouldn't even pound the Unhung.
That's wow. Yeah, gotta bet it. Have to bet it.
Anyone with eyeballs, Wes?
Yeah, I don't think there's much to say here, man. Seriously, against Menafield, this guy was like, come on, A dog that you have to bet this, win or lose. Like, come on, Brad's right. This guy probably lost a decision to Sam fucking Alvey, and he's now a favorite over fucking Thiccc Willie. That's insane, man. Thiccc Willie, that's probably going to be one of my bigger bets on the entire card this weekend.
Yeah, all jokes aside, this line is mind-boggling to me. Thiccc Willie's decently popular. He was favored over Menfield, who's much better than the unhung. And I think this fight actually kind of plays out a little bit the same. I think on the feet, I wouldn't be overly confident with the Thicccness because he does like to get punched in the face and fall down.
He does.
But as soon as they get to the ground, I think I just can't imagine any other way than the Thicccness sitting on top of this dude, just pounding him out. And just I don't see any other way this fight is going. It's going to be Thicccness on top, beating the shit out of him. I don't see this fight going the distance. I haven't bet yet. I don't know what the Thicccness inside the distance is, but that should probably be a play as well, unless it's like the same. What is it?
I think you get a decent price.
Plus 220.
Yeah,
not bad. Not bad. So yeah, I think it's the Thicccness taking him out here. I think this is like I don't understand the line movement. I didn't understand the opener. I didn't understand the line movement. I would have probably made Thiccc Willie like minus 175, minus 200 in this. I tell you the truth.
We were shocked at the opener. Like all of us were like, what? And it's moved 30 cents. The opposite.
Yeah, I think when it opened, I posted it in the chat, and I was like, I hope nobody sees this.
Yeah.
And then it happened. And one more thing, anybody, like, if you're trying to bet the unhung, he lost a round to the worst fighter in modern UFC history. He lost a round to Cadiz. Nobody does that. Nobody. That's solid. Yeah.
The placement on this card is weird too, because it's better than most fights on this card.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Thicccness is going to get a big knockout here. So let's move on to the featherweight division.
You forgot one important piece to that fight, Lance.
Piece, you say?
Yeah.
Munich.
Oh, that is Munich. This will be the third Munich bet on Thiccc Willie and the first two have not taken place. We had it against Menfield twice, and now we're going on the unhung. So
I think this is just like
the best one, though.
Oh, absolutely. This is 100% the best one.
Menfield and a damn coin flip. Like
this has all just been part of the plan to get the nickname out there.
Yeah,
we're spreading the nickname. We're building the Thiccc Willie brand.
Yep.
And
t-shirts for him. He can walk out with the Thiccc Willie shirts. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. All right, let's move on now. Featherweight division. If he has Lewis Saldana taking on Jordan Griffin. Brad.
Oh, you want me to talk about this fight?
I mean, have you heard of these fellers?
I've heard of Jordan Griffin because he's been around a while.
He's fought a bunch of times.
Yeah, he's fought some decent dudes. He's not a good UFC fighter, but I think he's capable of being here. He's got a pretty decent submission game. And Saldana, when he loses, it seems like he gasses out, and he tends to get finished in those losses, and he tends to get finished by submission. So I wouldn't be shocked now that he's actually fighting somebody decent if he has some early success, if he is probably winning the fight in the first round, gasses out, and then Griffin is able to get into some sort of scramble because he's not a good wrestler by any means. But he can get into a scramble and find something, guillotine, rear naked choke, something like that. So I'm picking Griffin here. I haven't bet him yet. I'm considering it. But I'm looking more at like the round 2, round 3 props and Griffin by submission. Those would be the big things that I'm looking at. I think there's like 650 out there on Griffin by submission, which is probably how he wins if he does win this fight.
Wes?
Yeah, I think Brad's kind of right on. I think Saldana's gonna be winning this fight until he probably isn't. I don't think Griffin's very good, but he's gone rounds with some decent guys, so he's really tough to get out of there. I'm not sure this kid can get him out of there. And Brad's right. If he can't get him out of there, I think he's going to be throwing a lot of blows and shit that Griffin's going to take. He's going to gas himself out. And I don't know if Griffin gets him out of there, but I could see him winning the second and third round in this fight. Do I want to put my money on him? Nah, probably not. But Brad's on a path there that if you want to have some kind of big shot on it, Griffin by some kind of finish late or maybe a round 2 or round 3, something like that. But I'll pick Griffin. I think he survives. And personally, I think he probably gets a decision.
Yeah, this one's tough because you got a guy who's relative. He's only fought in the Contender Series. He hasn't. Yeah. This is his actual debut, and he looked good in the Contender Series. But this is one of those cases. Like, do you go with because I think skill sets they're decently, I would say, even. Do you go with the guy that we know is not very good in Jordan Griffin? We know he's going to beat scrubs. We know if he takes any even slight step up, he's going to be overmatched. Or do we go with a kid who's training at a pretty good camp at MMA Lab? Shout out Lou. That could be improving. That has, he's been finishing fights. He's looked good in those fights. But it's his UFC debut, and he hasn't faced anyone good. These are fights I almost always pass on. I think Saldana ends up getting it done here. I think he's just – I think he's a little bit better. I think he's a little bit better. I think he's a little bit more dynamic. I think he's more likely to – work him over on the feet, land the better punches. And I think he's a little bit better over the fighter. And I think Griffin we know he's not good. We just know he's not good. And I think it's very tempting for people to take the shot on him here at plus money versus a guy making his debut with a bunch of L's on his record. But I think Saldana gets it done here.
Interesting to note that Saldana has not won a single decision thus far in his MMA career. So if you are taking him, I don't know, maybe something to keep in mind.
I wasn't planning on betting this. Is it a big number?
That I didn't look at because
350.
There you go.
It's not terrible. Not too bad. Next up, bantamweight division. Pretty good fight here. Actually, kind of buried on the undercard. Right after this is Jorgen de Castro versus Danho. Like the order of this card is something else. But bantamweight division, Hunter Azure versus Jack Shore. Couple decent prospects here. Brad?
Oh, yeah. I was going to go get a beer. I keep forgetting that you're going to me first tonight.
Well, he told me to.
No, that's fine. I should have been prepared for it. I don't know why you guys keep calling this guy Jack Shore. This is just Brett Johns. It's Brett Johns. It is. All of these Welsh dudes, they're the same dude. They're all bantamweights. They all wrestle. They all grind on people. They all, when they're fighting dudes that get tired, eventually get a finish in the third round. And I think that's what happens in this fight. I think that Hunter Azure is pretty good. He's decent striker, decent wrestler. He's got decent power, but he is definitely lacking when it comes to cardio. He is probably going to win the first round of this fight. Actually, I don't want to say probably because Shore might just come in and get in the clinch, and he's got like sneaky inside drips and all sorts of stuff from the clinch that he can do. So he might be able to actually win the first round in this one. But he's definitely going to win the second round. And he's definitely going to win the third round because by that point, Azure is going to just be so gassed. And I think that Shore gets dominant position. I'm not sure if it's a submission. Usually it is for him, or if he just pounds him out. But I do think that he gets the round 3 stoppage in this one. And that was a much higher number than I expected. I think I was looking at it, and it was like plus 1,200 or something like that. Plus 1,500 at dimes for Shore in round 3, which is crazy because this guy has quite a few round 3 stoppages. And that's one of those things where
that ain't it.
where you
that ain't it.
Fight and guys who finish fights in round 3, that's just like a trend that carries through because you know that they're just not going to let their foot off the gas pedal. So I think that's what happens with this one. The money line is a bit longer now than I thought it would be. But yeah, still think that's playable if you need to throw it in a parlay. Obviously, you guys know me. I'm going to take the big shot. So, Shore round 3 is the play.
Go
You got to wash out that taste.
Dude,
And now I'm going to get my beer.
Helena asked me to buy like a variety pack of White Claw or Bon Viva or anything, and the gas station didn't have any besides this Corona Refresca, which I've had the regular kinds before, but these ones are all like these lime ones. So it's like passion fruit lime. The other ones, the passion fruit one was okay. This is coconut lime.
Oh, no.
I don't know how to explain it besides it tastes like you got a pina colada and you left it in the sun for 3 days and then someone peed in it and then they mixed it around and then there's a little bit of vomit and then that's
I mean, that's exactly how it was made. So
this.
I don't think you're wrong. You guys see all the fucking like yard waste bags that I put in my garage this weekend?
Oh, I have people for that. Come on, Brad.
Sorry.
All right, Wes.
The exchange rate that does it.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah, I wish Jack Shore's money line was a little bit closer here personally. Brad's probably talked me into taking a little shot on that round 3 prop. That's just kind of crazy. But yeah, I kind of agree with Brad again here that I just think Shore's probably as good of a wrestler as Azure here, and Brad's right. That man he's got about 5 or 6 minutes, bro, and the pace that Shore's going to put on him is not going to help that cause whatsoever. So, yeah, I think Shore wins this fight. I would like to just play him straight, man, but the line's a tiny bit long. In a fight that's, I don't know, Azure could get the first round, and then you're banking on the guy definitely taking the next 2. So I wish it was a little bit closer to maybe minus 125, 135, something in there. But hopefully it comes down a little bit. I will definitely be taking a small shot on that round 3 prop, though. That's a good look by Brad. And my pick's going to be Jack Shore.
Yeah, I actually have a different take on this one. I don't know if I'm betting Azure yet, but if the line keeps creeping, I'm thinking about it. I don't see Shore being able to out wrestle Hunter Azure. I think Hunter Azure is going to have. I think he has the better wrestling to keep this thing standing. Brad
even
mentioned
in round 2 and 3.
Brad, he's from Europe. Sure. He's
from Wales.
Wales, yeah.
Different.
They can actually wrestle.
They can't wrestle.
A tiny bit.
No. I think Azure's the better wrestler, and I think Azure's the better striker. So when I look at this matchup, I think we got Azure's the better striker, and he's the better wrestler. I think Shore has the better submissions, but I just don't know if he can get it there. So if you are betting Jack Shore, you are 100% banking on Azure gassing out in the first, 8 to 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So if he doesn't, he's going to lose. And I look at it, has his cardio gotten a lot better? We only saw his cardio was bad in that one fight, really, right? Like, it wasn't great in his last fight, but it was better. He wasn't like dead in his last fight like he was against
Lance.
That's going to be a way different.
You want to talk about
it wasn't like the boom boom fight.
You want to talk about Welsh wrestling being bad. This dude got out wrestled and is back taken by a Canadian in the third.
TSP, bro. TSP. I think Azure can stand and bang in this one. I think Azure is not going to have to use. I think what gasses him out in some fights too is he's offensive wrestling, and I think he's gassing himself out. I think in this fight he's not going to try to wrestle. I think he's going to sprawl and brawl. And I think if that's his strategy to sprawl and brawl, keep him at distance, outstrike him, I think he can last a little bit longer. So I actually think Azure is going to take this one. I have him taking the first 2 rounds, possibly losing the third if he does gas out. I think we'll have enough in the tank on this one because I think it's going to be, it's kind of 2 grapplers striking is what I see a little bit in this one. So I do like Hunter Azure. I don't know if I'm going to bet him. I still think it's a close fight, and it's hard to bet in a guy that is probably going to gas out. It's just a matter of when. But I'm definitely not laying the juice on Jack Shore here. I'm not completely bought in on him. All right, heavyweight division. Yorgan De Castro versus Yaris Danho, who might be the worst fighter in the UFC. Mm-hmm. Brad?
You say that, and when he was fighting in the UFC 5-6 years ago, whenever he was in the UFC, that was probably true. in 2015, he was the worst fighter in the UFC. In 2021, this dude is almost a top 15 heavyweight. Like, I'm pretty sure if you go back to the old podcasts for when this was happening, put yourself on mute, Wes. God damn it, I'm trying to break down a fight with Jar Jar. Yeah, if you go back to those old podcasts, I'm sure we shit all over this guy because he is not good.
What has he been doing for 5 years?
Hopefully steroids.
Who just like this is where like everyone banging on the door, everyone wants to fight during the pandemic. Like we're literally looking at a guy who was 1-1 in his UFC career, 5-1 overall. Like he only has 5 wins in his life. He's 37 years old, and he just took a 5-year sabbatical. And this guy is on the card.
Yeah.
Like, how is this? Where has he been? Does anyone know?
I'm telling you, man, steroids.
And he can win this fight.
He's probably gotten tight with like, where's he from? He's from Syria, I think.
That sounds not right.
Oh wow, Lance is accusing me of being wrong about
it.
Something.
Is right. You are right.
Exactly. I don't even have the page up. I wish I could like share my screen with you right now to show that I'm not looking at that. Yeah, I don't know if he's got some in with the king of Syria or whatever the guy who runs Syria is all about. But that's probably how he got back into the UFC.
Probably a good dude.
The Man Mountain is not good. But one thing that I do remember from the Man Mountain's previous stint in the UFC is that he is tough and he is willing to cheat. So those are two very important things at heavyweight.
Those are the two best qualities you can have in an MMA fighter. A tough guy who's not scared to bend the rules.
That's right. So first of all, fatties, 100%.
Yep.
You're giving me 1.5 on this fight at even money, all over it.
Yep.
Castro probably wins this fight, but this dude is not Hollywood Hogan. He is not going to stand next to the Man Mountain and chop it down with the edge of his hand. I can tell you that much. So Castro by decision, fatties. That's what we're rolling with in this fight. This sucks.
This is maybe the first time you've ever mentioned fatties, and I go, yeah, that's definitely going
if Lance is like, yeah, get on it.
I'm not going to bet it, of course. But
I was just gonna say fatties consensus.
No, I don't bet overs. That's lame.
Not even here where it's gonna be hilarious.
This fight is above the Jack Shore Azure fight, and it's above the Thiccc Willie fight. Just for keeping track at home, this fight's I don't understand. This is probably one of the worst fights the UFC can make in general, any weight class. This might be one of the worst fights they can make.
This is probably worse than the women's fight that we're going to talk about in a little while.
Nina Nunes?
Who's that?
She's in the main card. Nina Nunes.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, her name was already changed.
I don't know.
She's a fighter in Invicta.
Oh, Invicta.
Yeah, it's Nina Nunes, and she's fighting Mackenzie Dern.
Oh, I know who Mackenzie Dern is.
Yeah.
I don't know who Nina Nunes
From
is.
Instagram? You go deep on the gram?
Yeah, she got some big titties.
Yeah. Wes, you got anything on these fat fellas who don't like to throw punches?
Yeah, Danho is. Yeah, he's still one of the worst fighters we've ever fucking seen. Like, come on, that guy's bad. Hasn't fought in 5 fucking years. This dude did he go to prison? Did he go to prison or some shit? I don't know, man. Like.
A 2022 Lightning Lee Murray comeback, baby.
This is actually Lee Murray. This is the body he's put on in prison. Yeah, fatties here for me, man. We're getting a straight 1.5 on a couple of dudes that are gonna get sloppy, man. Like Castro's not. He ain't great, man. Like, come on, what are we doing here? How's this over Thiccc Willie and shit? Yeah, I like the over 1.5. That Castro by decision might be worth a little sprinkle as well. That's like another
500.
Yeah, that's a good prop because I think this gets sloppy and Castro ends up like laying on this dude, probably up against the cage, doing a whole lot of nothing. But But that over 1.5 is going to be a full absolute play for me.
Yep.
Danho could literally just like halfway through like the first round or beginning of the second round just be like, well, had enough of this. And just stop fighting. Like, can somebody who's listening right now please figure out where this motherfucker has been and put it in the chat room? I need to know the cause of a 32-year-old just going, I'm good for the next 5 years. Because the only thing I can think of is prison. What's another explanation? Like, though, if he had a bunch of injuries, not like we hear about it. Like, who was Googling a year ago? Where's Danho? But 5 years, that's some kind of layoff.
Yep.
And then they put him against Castro, who just refuses to throw punches or kicks or anything. That Carlos Felipe fight is one of the worst fights I've ever seen, ever. So I'm going to pick De Castro here, but that is not something else. And then these
Fatties.
We definitely have a good hour and a half between that fight we just talked about and the next two fights for a good bathroom break. Like, can we switch the order so we can put the first three fights here and skip these three? Like, come on, help me out here. John Makdessi, who I had no idea was still in the UFC. I thought he retired years ago.
I didn't know he was still alive.
Ignacio.
He fought the old
Bahamondes.
man. I mean, he fought Grandpa like last year, which is kind of crazy.
That
Last year
doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, and well,
that was like the
ago.
last one before pandemic, right?
That's where Dumont committed mass murder in front of 0 people.
The best kind of mass murder.
That was one of my favorite events ever because it was like the world had just shut down, and the only show in town was the UFC in Brazil in front of no one, and Dumont puts on that show.
That's where the star was born, baby.
We're only like 1 month and a week from the champ. He's gonna do it. It's like when Robin Black predicted the Conor McGregor.
It's gonna happen.
I got it.
That's like me 5 years ago talking about how Dumont is gonna be champ, except it's actually gonna happen. He's gonna do it.
It is. No, he's gonna knock you out, guys. And he is. Watch, he's gonna knock out Michael Chandler. Watch.
He's not even gonna have to submit him.
Talk about no gas tank. Chandler's got 5 minutes in him.
Yep. Might
be plenty for his wife. That's not enough for old Dumont.
His wife is a good Christian woman. She only needs 3 or 4 minutes. That's it.
Do they even come anyway? Like, come
on. What's a climax?
Yeah, you're Christian. What's a climax?
I thought that was the end of a movie.
I remember this Bahamondes fella now.
He was on Contender Series.
Yeah.
That's where half of these bodies are from, Lance. Like,
I remember everyone talking about how he was amazing and he had all this cool stuff, and I thought, this guy's not very good.
He fought an absolute garbage man.
I think literally a garbage man.
Yeah.
Could have been. Hold on. All right, Brad, you got anything here?
The Baja boys here, Ignacio, I'm not so sure that he's going to let the dogs out in this one. He's coming out. He is cutting. He's 6'3" and cutting down to 155. Like, you guys know I hate tall dudes. But tall dudes that make themselves even skinnier than they already are, it's not a good look.
Hey, you already seen the frame on this kid to begin with? It ain't good.
It's a favorable matchup to him in the first place, and I'm still not convinced that he's going to pull it off. He's, long and fancy or whatever against all of these trash bags that he's fought previously. But he lost to something in 2019, November of 2019, called Salvador Becerra. Never heard of that dude.
Good fighter.
That's a Colombian hitman.
Yeah, exactly. Got subbed in 2017 by Matt McKeon. Never heard of that dude. He was 3-3 at the time, apparently. So got subbed by another dude I've never heard of. I'm not sure that this guy is good. in the first place, and I'm not sure that he should be minus 200 against a guy that has been in the UFC forever. I know that Makdessi is washed.
Washington Redskins.
Washed. But if there's one thing that he can kind of do is like control distance. He knows that game. So I wouldn't be shocked if he can avoid getting his head taken off by some of these kicks and land a bunch of jabs and win a boring decision. So I'm staying away from the Baja boys in this one. If it gets too high, I'll probably take a stupid little homer Canadian shot on Makdessi. But that's never something to be confident in.
Worst Canadian versus a skeleton. Wes.
Worst Canadian training at the lab. Though,
I don't think Brad's too far off here, though. Honestly, like I think Makdessi's like he's done, but is he that done? He just fought a year ago. He lost to Grandpa in a decision, but he could give this kid the vet lesson. I'm telling you, you don't think Makdessi couldn't jab and do some dumb some stupid fucking kicks, side kicks and shit to keep the distance here and point his way to a decision over this guy's not good, man. Come on. So I haven't bet Makdessi, but if this kid starts getting parlayed up and shit on fight night, and Makdessi goes up to 2-1 or something like that, I'm absolutely gonna take a little shot. But no play at this line. I'm picking Makdessi though. I think he could vet less in this thing.
I have never been. Makdessi just does not do it for me. Like,
I don't like him either. I never have, but the dude always finds ways to win, man.
Yeah, he wins fights, and like after the fight, I'm like, God, he sucks. Like even when he wins, like
every time.
Well, he spams spinning back fists. He dances around. He uses weird footwork, and I guess it works. I guess I think for him, his being more technical and controlled and disciplined, I think is how he would win this fight. But after a long layoff, getting older, coming off a loss, like I don't know. I don't think the kid he's facing is any good at all. But he's a young, athletic kid who's going to throw a lot more than Makdessi is. So this could be one of those fights where Makdessi loses just because he doesn't throw enough. Because Makdessi's not going to drop him. He's not going to have these big flurries. He's not going to do anything. And I think this kid could throw a bunch of fancy shit and hit mostly air and win a decision. And I think that's the worry in this fight more than Makdessi taking a nap. I think it's just inactivity versus a kid who's going to be pressing forward, throwing wild shit. So I'm going to pass on this one. I think this is going to be the worst fight on the card, minus Invicta. I think this is going to be just a piss poor fight. I think all 15 minutes are going to suck. So we'll see. All right, let's move on now. What? Hold on. Aaron Blanchfield versus Norman Dumont Viana. I joke around a lot on
intergender match. Norman Dumont.
No.
Yeah, I joke around on the show and say I've never heard of that guy. Who is this? Legit. Nothing going on. I don't know. Do we skip this? Do you guys have words? What is there a line? Do they line this fight? Do they line amateur fights?
Lance, we've been over this. Low-level women's MMA, you bet the dog. And the dog, in this case, is more than plus 200.
Blanchfield sub. What's that?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. What's the sub?
Yeah,
Blanchfield sub plus 1350. There it is.
There you go.
There it is.
Yeah. Apparently, people are trying to say that she's like a prospect or something like that. If she was an actual prospect, the UFC wouldn't let her take a fight on 4 days' notice, up a weight class. I don't know. It's like a week's notice, up a weight class or something against the other chick got knocked out by Megan Anderson. Megan. Yeah. So this is all kinds of weird. So yeah, if I get plus 200. Yeah,
Aaron Blanchfield beat Kay Hansen.
There you go. Doesn't she fight at 115?
I don't know who that is.
Either way, low-level women's MMA plus 200. I'll take that. Sure.
in my 4-second breakdown of this fight, the only thing I noticed is, did you see who Aaron Blanchfield's last win was?
I did not.
No way.
A girl
I have to
named
look her up.
Brogan?
a girl named Brogan. You remember Brogan Roback? The third stringer for the Browns, who everyone was talking about because he was in the Hard Knock show. Brogan. Brogan's a girl's name now? There's a girl named Brogan?
Who would do that to their daughter? Like, seriously, who would do that to... That's an American, too. Like, this chick is American. It ain't some crazy foreign name.
Who, Brogan Roback?
Brogan is a fucking American chick named Brogan. Her parents hated her from birth.
Brogan Walker Sanchez. Nickname, Joe.
No.
Joe Brogan.
I was going to say. I had to look just to make sure.
Matt said if you want some good tape study to check out Dumont's Instagram.
I'm too old for the Instagram.
You don't get down with the gram? You don't watch like the TikTok or reel dances where they're like doing this number and they throw stuff?
No, I've got an Instagram account to see which girls I went to high school with are still hot. And that's the only reason.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. Wes, you got anything here?
Nothing. I'm gonna pick the dog, but I got no money on this fight.
Now, if Brogan was fighting, it'd be a different story.
I would have fucking 17 Keltons and a voucher on it.
So many Keltons. All right, lightweight division: Scott Holtzman versus Matut's Gamrot.
My toots.
You toots too?
This is some kind of card. This undercard is something else.
Anytime that Hot Sauce Holtzman shows up on a fight card, I always just think of the dudes in the hot sauce suits that were in Nashville when he was fighting there. And that's about all that comes to mind with Holtzman, because he is very forgettable in his fights. But I actually kind of think that his style works here. Gamrot is going to get takedowns at some point in this fight. But I think after that takedown, there's going to be like prolonged scrambles and clinching and grappling. And I think that Gamrot's one of those dudes that looks good when he's on the regional circuit and fighting guys that aren't good athletes. And Holtzman was a semi-pro hockey player. So we're talking about the elite of the elite when it comes to athleticism. So I think that this is going to be interesting. Where he would normally be able to get takedowns, I'm not sure that he's going to be able to get them here. So I'm interested to see how this fight plays out. I'm not very confident in a guy that has a pretty big price tag on him, minus 240, minus 230 for Gamrot. So haven't taken a shot on Holtzman, but I could see Holtzman coming through and maybe eking out a decision. I think this is going to be a competitive fight. I'm buying time while I look up the hot sauce decision prop, which you can get at like plus 450 out there, which that seems a little high. And if I was going to bet this fight, that's probably what I'd look at.
Wes?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can lay the juice on Gamrot here, especially off of that last fight. Coming from, before that, he looked great and shit, but it was, what was the competition level? Got to the UFC, fought a guy that was, okay, been on a good winning streak, but that was not a good performance. It was his first UFC fight and shit. I can't trust Holtzman at this point. He's 37 years old at this point. His chin's starting to get pretty bad. That Dariush knockout was pretty ugly. He gets hurt in a lot of fights now. I saw him the last time we was in Nashville when I came down to go to the fights with Lance, and I saw him and the MMA manager Danny Rube kind of talked to him for a second, man. And dude, I'm not tall at all, and Holtzman is a fucking midget. Like that guy's like, he might be slightly taller than Brad. I'm serious. Jacked up, but
What about does he have the guns here?
He's much bigger than you.
Yeah, he's got some guns, but
I hope so.
he got him a smoke show. I'll give him that. But yeah, I can't trust Holtzman at 37, man. Just the way he's looked recently. But there's no way I'm laying the money on Gamrot in this fight. I'm gonna pick him here though. I just can't trust Holtzman, but no bet for me on this fight.
It's like when I saw Jim Miller in Walgreens and had to body him up just so he knew who was in charge. Miller, tiny. He looks like a featherweight.
We'll get there. We'll get there. I know.
We'll get there.
You don't want to waste your talking points now, Wes. Sorry, Lance. You gotta save them.
I got nothing here. Holtzman's old. He's worst. He's more just used his strength to win fights. A lot of the times he'll push guys against cage. He'll work takedowns, not with tons of wrestling skill, but more just strength, muscle him, get him to the ground. And his striking is just not very good. And he got just flatlined in his last fight. And at 37, that's getting old for a guy who's been hit a lot in his career. And I don't know. I think this is a pass. At the same time, I'm not laying that kind of price on Gamrot. So this is going to be a pass for me. And maybe I'll play on the inflatable toys that we're renting out there and do some bouncy castle business. Could be fun. Okay. Yeah. All right. Now we move on to interesting fight here, as we have in the lightweight division, Jimmy Miller, Jersey Zone versus Joe Solecki. Very interesting prospect and a fun fight here. Brad?
I was going to say, who would like to play on some inflatable toys, given what you've told me about how big Jim Miller is.
Yeah, he's too small. You have to be a certain, size and stature to get on. The weakest handshake I've ever felt is that of Jim Miller. For a submission guy, right? Like you think a submission guy, like I know like all wrestlers have really good grips, right? And it's pythons here. For Jim Miller to be a jiu-jitsu guy and wrestle, do you think he would have these crazy wrestler grips? Like every wrestler you ever meet ever has a good grip. You can't win at wrestling if you don't have a good grip. It's just part of it. That dude had the weakest shit I've ever felt. I thought I was going to break his hand so he couldn't fight Melvin Gillard in the main event in Nashville. He was walking around, don't even recognize him because like, who's this little fella in aisle 7?
Yeah, it's Jimmy Miller.
Good dude though. Big Jimmy Miller guy. Love fucking Jimmy Miller. All right, Brad.
We love Jimmy Miller. Jimmy Miller made us a good little boatload during the pandemic against Rosie Roberts.
Yes, we had the sub.
Yeah, I appreciate that one from him. I think there's an outside chance something like that could happen in this fight because Joe Solecki's probably going to come out here and he wants to grapple too. So you've finally got a fight where somebody is against Jim Miller and Jim Miller is not going to be the one that has to chase down the grappling exchanges in the first round. That said, I think Solecki's probably good enough that he doesn't get subbed in the first round. And that means that things are going to turn against Jimmy Miller. Come the second round, come the third round, however long it lasts. I think that Solecki is just going to force a pace on him that at this point Miller's not able to sustain. So I like Solecki to win this fight. I'm still kind of going back and forth on whether I think Miller gasses enough that he can get a finish or whether Miller, because, in the times where people have wanted to grapple with him, he has been able to sub a lot of dudes. So it is quite possible that he subs Solecki early on if they get in some grappling situations and they're both dry. So I think there could be a stoppage in this one. I lean more towards Solecki as the pick, but nothing huge on this fight for me. It's kind of a tricky one. And, I want Jim Miller to win.
Wes?
Yeah, this is kind of tricky because Brad's right. Solecki likes to grapple too, and man, like there's few guys recently. One of course, it's about to be a champ that can just snatch up something early when both guys are dry, like few guys like Jim Miller. Like, it's crazy some of the subs he catches guys in early in fights. I think Solecki's a little bit better than that. I didn't think a lot of him, man. A few fights back, but he's looked pretty good recently. That win against Hubbard was pretty surprising to me. I'm gonna pick Solecki in this fight. I think Jim Miller's about done. If he doesn't get that early sub, I think he's probably in some trouble. What I like more is fight doesn't go to decision. So round even money. I think if Miller doesn't get something in that first, that Solecki's probably going to wear on him to where he eventually gets Jim Miller out of there. So, I mean, I think 6 of Jim Miller's last 8 fights have ended in the first round, whether him winning or getting finished. Like, his fights now routinely are just go broke or get the fuck out of there. So I'm going to play fight doesn't go to decision, and I'm probably going to put Solecki in a smaller parlay, but like the fight doesn't go more.
Yeah, I'm on the same page. It's funny, Wes, before you jumped out, I was talking to Brad about how I like this fight doesn't go as a possible consensus. Because I really do like – I think someone's getting subbed here. I think Jim Miller is not in the business to play around for 15 minutes anymore. I think we've seen that in all his fights. He's going to go out and go for broke early. And, he can't get decisions if he's facing a guy that doesn't like the finish. That's not a big fan of that. Solecki is always going to go for the kill. He's going to go for the submission. He's going to try to get something. And I think it's Jim Miller early trying to grab a sub, grabbing a neck, which very possible. Jim Miller's submission game offensively is still as good as it gets, right? Like, he's still a great submission game. His guillotine is one of the best out there. Jim Miller can finish anybody with that guillotine still. Defensively, I think he's lapsing a little bit with his sub defense, and his cardio and everything else just isn't there. He fades quick, and I'm not going to call Jimmy a quitter, but Jimmy doesn't come back very often. Jimmy makes
good business decisions. Yeah.
Yes. Like, I can't think of a time where Jimmy's down a couple rounds and trying to win. Like, he's usually getting out of there. And I think he's going to come out guns a-blazing, possibly get a sub, or I think he's going to wear down. Then we see a second or third round sub by Solecki here. And I'm actually pretty high on Solecki. I really like this kid's game. I was really big on him in his last fight versus Austin Hubbard. Was really big on Solecki there. I think this kid's got a good game. He's good size for the weight class. He's got good submissions. He's got decent wrestling. If Jimmy was actually smart here, I would sprawl and brawl my way here. Yeah. I think Jimmy's actually the much better striker here. I think if this fight was on the feet and Jimmy didn't gas, I think he actually could win a striking battle here. But I don't think that's where that's going to take place. Both these guys want to get the fight to the ground. That's where it's going to end up. And I think someone gets subbed. So I'm going to take doesn't go here. It's right around even money. All right, let's move on to an awesome fight. Welterweight division, Mike Perry versus Daniel Rodriguez. Great matchup. This is great. It's almost good as the one that was announced yesterday. What was it? Greg Hardy versus Tuivasa.
Oh, God.
I literally, like, a month ago on the podcast when we were talking about that, I was like, Tuivasa should only have fun fights. Like, Greg fucking Hardy. And here we are. I got to plug this in. That's you guys talk. Brad?
Yeah. First of all, I was just looking at something real quick. And on the last fight, Jim Miller has been stopped twice in the first round, which are recent, as Wes pointed out. And then he's also been stopped 3 times in the second round. So I can see him going for it in the first round. And if he doesn't get it, just making that business decision in the second round and getting out of there. But as far as this next fight goes, fun shit between Daniel Rodriguez and Mike Perry. People were way too high on Daniel Rodriguez after his first couple UFC fights. He had a good performance against Tim Means, and then like a competitive fight against Gabe Green that somehow people came out of it thinking he was a lot better than he was. Got smoked by Dwight Grant and came back to win that fight. And then he lost to Nicholas Dalby. I don't necessarily think that he lost that fight, But the fact that you're in a fight that's that competitive with Nicholas Dalby in 2020, that you could lose the decision, is probably not a great sign. He's also, in his mid-30s, 34. So he's not a young dude at the same time. And I think that we're getting a bit of a discount on Platinum Mike in this one because he looked so bad last time out. I had a bet on him last time out, and that was terrible. Looked awful. He told us beforehand he was going to look awful, and then he absolutely did. For all of his faults, this man is honest. And it looks like he's now at a real camp with real coaches.
Where's he fighting out of?
He's at MMA Masters. So like
a great camp.
Yeah, Palomino and I don't know, all the other groups.
He's in a pod.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure that him and Colby get along very well. Unless, Colby might let a casual N-bomb slip during training, and I'm not sure how Mikey feels about that.
He's gonna be offended.
No, I mean, if you're not 2%, Colby, you might watch your fucking mouth, dog.
But I think that when this guy actually trains and gets coaching, he's a pretty decent fighter. Obviously, we know he's got power. We know he's durable, but he's also a very good grappler. And I think he can out-grapple Daniel Rodriguez in this fight. I also think that Daniel Rodriguez has terrible defense. He gets hit by a lot of stuff. He gets rocked by a lot of stuff. He got rocked by Nicholas Dalby in that fight. Nobody gets rocked by Nicholas Dalby. So I think that Perry might be able to knock him out. He might be able to just out-grapple him for 2 out of 3 rounds in this fight. So I'm going to take the shot on an in-shape, motivated Mike Perry.
Highly motivated.
I don't know about that. He does have a kid.
He got a kid now. He's got a
kid on the way.
Yeah. So, I'll take that. There's some plus 130, plus 140 out there. I'll do it. I'm not sold on Rodriguez. It's going to be a fun fight, though.
Yeah. Wes?
Yeah, I mean, this is scenario that's like the complete opposite of the mom quit. It's like you got the dad's got the kid on the way. Yeah, dad's got the kid on the way. It's time to start making some fucking money. Yeah, Brad's right. Listen to Mike Perry when he tells you something. The guy is, to a fault, brutally honest. He told you last time out, I'm shit right now. I don't give a fuck. I'm not training. I got my girl in my corner and shit. Seriously, he told us all how bad he was going to be in that fight. And Tim Means is I look at Rodriguez as a really shitty Tim Means. You know what I'm saying? They're built the same. Rodriguez kind of tries to fight the same as Tim Means. He's just not good at any of it, And Brad's right. Perry is a really well-rounded fighter when he's in there actually trying. I could see him knocking this guy out. He's right. Dalby hurt him. What's Mike Perry's power gonna do to this guy? And then besides that, if Perry's smart, and I think that goes to the camp and coaches he's got now, he takes this guy down and he pounds on him. Rodriguez has complete dog shit takedown defense. I don't think Brad's right. Doesn't have great defense to begin with in any areas, but man, Mike Perry's got multiple ways to win this fight. And as a dog, I'm taking that shot too, man. Give me some Mike Perry at dog money here. If he makes me eat it again, then it's my own dumb fault for believing in Mike Perry, but I know he's gonna put on a fun fight. So should be a great fight. I'll take some dog money on Mike Perry.
Yeah, I like Mike Perry here. I think this is the perfect style matchup for him. It's gonna be a guy who's not gonna try to wear on him, clinch him against the cage, get takedowns. I think Perry almost is the guy who gets to dictate where this fight takes place, which you don't get to say very often. Where, I think Perry's got the better hands here. He got more power for sure. And I think with Mike Perry, that guy's got a legendary chin. His chin is as good as it gets. And I think if these guys end up trading, which I just see that happening. I feel like it's going to be just throw bombs at each other, because Rodriguez fights like that. Like he's decently technical. Like he's got some decent boxing, but he's a brawler, and Mike Perry likes brawlers. Like that's what he wants to see.
Perry went to a split decision with Luque, dog.
Yeah.
Like straight up. That man went 3 rounds with Luque throwing bombs.
Yep. People love to think Perry sucks because he's a moron, but he's a talented fighter, and despite being a moron, he's done okay. And I think, with how like Perry has evolved his game a little bit to actually train a little bit of wrestling, train a little grappling, I think he's actually the guy that can actually get people down in this, or get Rodriguez down in this fight. So I think if it is going poorly on the feet, which I don't think it will, I think Perry could actually work in a takedown or two. And he showed that in a couple of his fights where he's okay taking the fight to the ground. So I like Perry here. I think at this price, you got to take a stab. So that'll be the consensus bet of the week, is on Mike Perry.
Ooh. Damn right, baby.
Beast Mode said he's going to be cornered by training partners instead of new coaches. That's fine. That's
honestly,
fine.
I don't care about that as long as he's been training at an actual camp.
Well, and not having his girlfriend in the corner get actual fighters in the corner. I'm fine with that. Like it could be any fighter. Like I don't give a fuck. Put Sam Alvey in his corner as long as it's not his fucking girlfriend. That's cool.
I mean, Sam Alvey's wife in the corner would be an improvement from Perry's girlfriend.
Absolutely. Fucking absolutely. She's cornered dozens of fights. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Women's strawweight. Okay. Yeah. All right. Nina Nunes. That's what it says on Wikipedia now. It's Nina Nunes taking on Mackenzie Dern. Brad, let's go quick here. Let's speed her up.
Yeah, like I guess Nina is gonna win because
is she a 35-year-old mom?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it seems like she should win.
Does it?
She's a better striker. She's got wins over like Claudia and some decent fighters. Dern really hasn't beaten anybody good. She can't wrestle. Yeah, this is a weird fight. But at the end of the day, I might just have to bet on some mom quit here because I know they're both moms, but one is a much more recent mom than the other.
And older.
I mean, it used to be, I'm not saying this is the case in 2021, but back in, when I was a young buck in the 1980s, if you had a kid in your mid-30s, there were health complications related to that. So.
Oh, they do call. I found this out recently. Any woman over like 36 that gets pregnant, they call you geriatric at that point.
Yeah, geriatric.
Oh, straight up.
I bet your wife likes that.
She didn't like that much at all.
What you mean geriatric?
Yeah, she didn't like that much at all.
If you guys see a hand come across the screen and smack Wes in the face right now, you don't know what that is.
I didn't say that shit.
It wasn't you. I know.
Nope.
That's great.
Yeah, I don't have much of a read on this fight. I really don't trust anything, so I'm staying away.
What? Yeah, Wes.
I think I like Nina Nunes here to probably win this fight because Brad's right. Dern can't wrestle, and I think she needs this to the mat to win, to pull off a sub. And most of the time, like, how many times has she won by subs where chicks just fall down or fall into her guard or some dumbass just yeah, we've seen her win fights like that, and that's usually how she wins fights. Nina Nunes, she keeps fights up. When she does, man, she's won a few against girls that are way better than Dern at this point. So, am I laying some juice on fucking the mom? Absolutely not. So no play for me.
Yeah, I think the age is the big one here. Where we got, Nina obviously had a kid not too long ago, taking some time off, and she's been out coming on 2 years now. So she's been out 2 years. She's 35 years old. I've aged 33 to the 35 before. It's a difference. That's a change there. Plus, having a kid, your priorities change. Your sleeping's different. There's a lot that changes during that. And 2 years off is a long time. And I think Dern is younger. She's hungrier. She's earlier in her career. Like, what is Nina Ansaroff really gonna do? Right? Like, what's her goal? Is she gonna be a champ? Like, is she gonna go on a big run?
It's not like she was good to begin with.
No, she had good timing. She had good timing of fights.
Claudia, because she has decent cardio.
And that's when Claudia, we found out, was on her way down. And she hasn't been the same since that fight. She has not been good since then. So
Claudia is still smoking hot. So
yes.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes. I think Ansaroff had some good timing and now she's been away for 2 years. She's 35 years old. And I think Mackenzie Dern is just younger and hungrier in this fight. And I think her wrestling is not great, obviously. But I think she can stall against the cage. I think she can try to work takedowns and just be more active. And if she does get this fight in the ground, I do think there's obviously a chance she can get a submission here. And 2 year layoffs a lot when you're fighting someone as dangerous on the ground as Dern. Like, Nina's gonna have to keep this fight standing. I think if Dern gets this fight to the ground, she can obviously get a finish. And I think Rusty Mom Quit is in play here. So let's move on now to interesting main card choice. Middleweight division, Sam Alvey versus Julian Marquez. I believe the UFC thinks Marquez is popular. Brad, is this true?
No.
They have. Why else would he be fighting Sam Alvey on a main card?
So are you asking me if it's or if it's true that they believe that
they believe? Yes, because we got Jim Miller Solecki on the prelims. We got Hunter Azure, Jack Shore. We got the Thicccness on the prelims, and we got Sam Alvey on the main card.
I mean, as much as he completely blew it, he did mention Miley Cyrus in his last post-fight interview, which is more attention than most MMA fighters get. So
he did get a lot of attention from that tweet.
Then he blew it about as bad as anybody could have.
Yeah, you don't make the man. She could buy the UFC.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking nerd party owner Miley Cyrus. Get the fuck out of here, Marquez.
Yeah.
This is a fight that's gonna happen.
It is.
I think it's gonna suck. I really do, because Sam Alvey, we know that he's gonna just circle around, back up against the cage, and counterpunch. Marquez is not a high volume guy either. He kind of relies on other guys putting themselves into bad spots. Like, he was getting his ass beat by coconut bombs in his last fight. Coconut bombs is tough. Coconut bombs is not good.
He was off a really long layoff in that fight.
Alvey hasn't won in his last 5 fights, and his last win was against Johnny Valanche.
Yeah, Johnny Valanche and Julian Marquez are practically the same dude.
Sam Alvey, how is
it's so good.
How do you go 5 straight fights without getting a win and get a 6th fight? And not only get a 6th fight, you get on the main card of ABC. Sam Alvey he hasn't won in 5 straight fights, and he's going to be on ABC.
The UFC absolutely wants Marquez to win this fight.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think they realize that Marquez isn't nearly as good as they think he is. Like, he is also a low volume guy. He can't wrestle. He's got power. If he lands some stuff, he does have some power. But the one thing that Alvey is good at is being durable. Like, I don't think that Marquez is going to land something on Alvey and just sleep him in this fight. I think this is going to be a very, very slow-paced, counter-punching sort of kickboxing match. And honestly, I think it's going to be to the point where Alvey might be able to sneak out a decision here. Marquez is not going to be able to take him down. He's going to be coming after him and not throwing a whole lot. When he does throw, he's going to miss a whole lot. Alvey's probably going to be able to hit him a bunch because Marquez doesn't have good defense. So I don't want to pick Sam Alvey to win a fight in 2021 because it's Sam Alvey and it's 2021. But they're not giving me a lot of choice here. Marquez is not great. Alvey by decision is like plus 450. I think last time I looked. Just pulling it up now, it's down to like plus 400 now. I still think that's kind of realistic for a stupid fight that shouldn't be taking place. And I'm going to take the shot.
That's a loser. Wes?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I can remember the last time Alvey hit anybody a lot. Like,
Ever.
That dude throws like 3 strikes in a row.
He landed a shitload against Danho. We just talked about how he should have beat Danho.
That's the unhung. Like, that dude, come on.
That doesn't even count.
That's a big-ass 205er, and now he's dropping down.
That's a half chub. That's what that is.
Now he's dropping down and facing some communist Cuban little bastard.
That's a half chub. That's nothing. He's
Yeah, I can't see Alvey winning this fight. I do think Brad's right about Marquez. I don't think Marquez is great or anything. He's not what the UFC want him to be. And yeah, that fight against Coconut Bombs was it did look
great
good,
fight.
Man. It was an awesome fight.
I had Marquez inside. That was a good cash.
I had Marquez by sub, so I love it. But
and props to Marquez for staying in the fight. That was like off over a 2-year layoff. That guy needed to get back into the cage. He did stay in the fight. He got a finish, man. Finished a tough dude. However, the fight was going up until that case. I just can't see Alvey doing enough to win this fight. He's not going to knock out Marquez. We've just seen Marquez's chin. Like, Alvey's not going to knock him out. Man, I don't think he gets Alvey out of there, but man, we've seen Alvey be a little chinny lately. Like, his recovery's insane. The guy doesn't get knocked out, but he's been tagged lately in some fights too. I kind of more like Marquez by decision myself. I think that's like plus 250 or something around there. I think Alvey's tough enough to stay in the fight for 3 rounds, and the UFC wants this guy to win. They gave him a winnable fight, so Marquez by decision for me.
Yeah, everything Brad said, basically the opposite, was my thinking on this fight. This is about as big of a setup fight as you could possibly imagine. They wanted Marquez on the main card. They wanted a guy that he could beat. And Sam Alvey literally will go several minutes without throwing a single punch. And he backs up when he's doing it. He backs up against the cage and doesn't throw any punches the entire fight. He might not get knocked out, but that's what he does most of the fight. And if he does in the unhung fight, he got a little aggressive at times. He actually moved forward and threw some punches. And he's not going to be able to do that against Marquez because he's going to get knocked out. He's going to get countered. He's going to get knocked out. So I think we're going to see back up against the fence circle Sam Alvey. And Marquez isn't great, but he's a finisher. He's tough as nails. And I think he's just the better athlete in this fight as well. And I don't know if Sam's going to punch him the whole fight. I don't know if Sam is going to land a single punch. This is a setup. I actually think Marquez is probably my favorite line on the card at under minus 200. When this fight was first announced, I was picturing minus 300 plus. Sam Alvey has not won a fight in 3 years. He has a draw and 4 losses in his last 5 fights against really bad guys. That losing streak is against shitheads, bottom of the barrel guys. He's getting beat by. He's not good. He's washed. He's never been good. And now he's worst. He's a worse bad guy. And yeah, I love Marquez in this fight. There's a reason Marquez is on the main card against Sam Alvey. And the UFC likes him. He's got a podcast with a famous porn star. He had a lot of social media hype. That's what the UFC wants. So definitely Marquez here. Now let's move up to me, by far the best fight on the card, as we in the featherweight division, Arnold Allen versus Thiccc Yusuff. This is the point where 2 prospects meet to see who's the dude. And this is a great fight as the co-main event. Brad?
Yeah, this is honestly a tough fight to pick. When I first looked at it, I was like, oh, Yusuff's a better, more dangerous striker. He should be able to keep this on the feet. And then I made the mistake of continuing to think about the fight. And I was like, he sort of starts out every round strong and then slows down a little bit. And Allen's the exact opposite. He's the type of guy that consistently picks up his pace throughout the fight. You know, he's got a bunch of round 3 comeback finishes, which honestly he might need in this fight as well. So I could see Allen coming back and snatching something in this fight. But it seems like Yusuff should be able to keep it on the feet, control it a little bit, and end up winning a decision. But I don't feel safe about it. It feels strange. It feels like Allen might either be able to steal some rounds late or snatch up a submission or a finish like he usually does. So I'm going to stay away from this one. I'm going to enjoy this fight because it should be a good fight. But I really can't bet it.
Wes?
Yeah, I'm having kind of the same feelings. This is a really tough fight for me to call. I like both of these guys a lot. I think Lance's absolutely right. This is kind of one of those fights to where two really good prospects meet up, and you know whoever takes this fight is on the way. But man, yeah, I've thought about this fight, and I've kind of made a case both ways. I keep going back and forth. I kind of almost feel like if you're betting this fight, you're probably taking the dog just because, I mean, Yusuff's getting up there now. He's like minus 145 in some places. Man, I guess at this point, I'm going to lean to Yusuff keeping this up, using his great range, man. He's really fast in and out. It just worries me, man, because Brad's right. Allen's going to put a pace on him. You know how that guy's going to fight. And we've seen Yusuff not necessarily have cardio problems, but he slows down later in fights. And if Allen does get that first round, maybe sneaks in a late takedown or something like that and steals the first round, man, you're banking on Yusuff taking the next two, and the third's probably going to be a little shaky when he slows down. So,
Lloyd Irvin guy too.
Yeah. Great fight, and I'm gonna take the dog in Tout Master, whoever's the dog, which is probably going to be Allen. No bet on this fight at this point, but man, if Yusuff keeps going up because he's creeping a little bit, and if I can get some plus 150, plus 160 on Allen, I'm going to take a small shot on a fight that I think just could go either which way.
I like Yusuff here. I have bet on Yusuff in every fight in his UFC career. This kid just seems to have it, and I know he was in a little bit of a closer fight with Andre Fili last time, but he ended up pulling that out, and I think that was a good experience for him. And I think, I don't know, he seems the part when you watch him fight. He's smooth with his striking. His wrestling is okay enough, to keep fights standing. And when you look at the level of competition these guys have faced, Arnold Allen has maybe faced the easiest road to how many wins?
Less. He's definitely got less fights against.
So he's 7-0, and he hasn't even fought someone that's even sniffed the top 25. He is.
What are you talking about? He's fought Nick Lentz.
Yeah.
Do Bronx has fought Nick Lentz like 17 times.
Yeah,
that's what got him a title shot.
Yeah. Nick Lentz, Gilbert Melendez in 2019, Jordan Rinaldi, Mads Burnell, Makwan Arakani, and Yatsen Metza. That's the Arnold Allen win streak. That is about the least impressive 7-0 streak you can have.
He was losing that Burnell fight too.
Yeah,
like very clearly.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the Makwan fight was close too. And I know, and I don't think Makwan's as bad as some people think he is because of his joking and everything like that. But I think Yusuff is just a better guy, and you left out one important piece of breaking this fight down. That's hog analysis. We got Sodiq Yusuff from Africa versus Arnold Allen. Let's be real here. And if you're banking Arnold Allen, a British guy out wrestling Sodiq, that's a tough thing to stand on. I think it's a good fight. I think Yusuff is just the better striker, and I think that's where the fight's going to be. I think he's more dynamic. I think he's a lot faster. I think speed's going to be a thing here, and I think Yusuff is the much faster, bigger, stronger fighter here. So I do like Yusuff, and I think at minus 140, minus 150, I think that's worth the play.
Fair.
Let's move on now to the main event that nobody wanted. I actually joked around about this when the Till fight dropped out. immediately Holland's like, I'll take that fight. And I was like, and everyone on Twitter, oh, this sucks. No one wants to watch Holland. So I was like, that's definitely the fight that's going to happen. Like, it's going to do that. Like, I mentioned, like, I wish they would have pulled Uriah Hall from his fight. I thought Uriah Hall versus Vettori actually would have been a pretty fun fight and something interesting to watch. But now we got this. Kevin Holland has one of the worst main events I've ever seen in my life from a performance standpoint, not taking it seriously and everything that went with that. That was just embarrassing.
And somehow talks his way into a
main event on ABC.
On ABC. What the fuck are we doing, man?
I don't know, but here we are, and I think Vettori is going to win this fight, but it's closer than people think. I think he can be dangerous. Brad, what do you think?
I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I still haven't watched Holland and Brunson.
Don't.
I broke.
You did not try.
No, I broke the fight down. I was like, yeah, Holland's going to take him down a bunch of times, and he's going to win a decision in that fight. And then I looked it up, and that's what had happened.
You did.
And I saw people say that that's what happened. I didn't need to watch it. I've seen Kevin Holland fight. He's not that good, especially against somebody that's going to wrestle him. Vettori, I'm not sure he's going to wrestle him. So I agree that this is closer than the Brunson fight. You know, I've also seen some people say that, oh, Holland was a minus 200 favorite against Brunson, and now he's plus 2 whatever. What is he right now? He's plus 250 against Vettori. Oh, how can the line swing so much? Well, because the Brunson line was a terrible line. He shouldn't have been the favorite in that fight. Mm-hmm. There's a reason that everybody and their mother was on Brunson.
And the performance. That was the worst performance. He literally did not try. He got taken down every round and just talked. Yep. He thought it was funny that he lost. That was hilarious.
So this fight is only interesting in that Holland isn't going to knock out Marvin Vettori. Vettori is so durable. I don't think that there's a lot of people that could knock him out. Like, you could put him in there with Paulo Costa, and he would let Costa punch him in the face, and I'm not sure that Costa gets him out of there. So I don't think Holland wins by knockout here. So then it comes down to, is he somehow going to land enough punches to win a decision? Is he going to be able to win 3 rounds in this fight? And honestly, I just don't see it. I think that Vettori is very consistent. I think you can probably set a metronome to Vettori's fights, and he does the exact same things in every fight. He is like straight left, maybe a jab once in a while, left body kick. Like, he knows like 2 or 3 strikes. He doesn't know a lot. He's not good and diverse with his MMA skills, but he does the things that are going to win him fights. And I think he's going to get hit a bunch in this fight, walk through Holland's punches, get into the clinch, land his own stuff, maybe get a takedown or 2 here and there, and he's going to win a decision. Perhaps if Holland went back after the Brunson fight and sat on the couch and ate a bunch of Oreos and gained 2 pounds, and maybe he weighs in at 185 this time instead of 183, he's got that cardio and he gasses out and wants to get finished in the late rounds. But it's Marvin Vettori. He doesn't really finish people either. So I see this being a decision. I think Marvin Vettori wins the decision. I think that's kind of like even money, which is interesting. Might be the only thing I bet here. But I got Vettori taking this fight.
Wes?
Yeah, I got the kind of the same outcome, but
I think 175 by decision for Vettori.
I think Vettori smashes him. I think Holland is what we know he is now. Like, we watched Holland. Like, the guy's not great. Like, I actually think Vettori's pretty good now. I think he's a legit guy, especially in this division. I think Vettori can get taken down if he wants here. I think he can body Holland up against the cage all he wants and just land dirty boxing on this dude. Like, I don't think this is going to be a close fight, personally. I think Vettori gets a later finish myself. I like Vettori more as a parlay piece. I have him in a pretty big parlay with Bader on Bellator and a couple other dumb soccer shit and stuff. But this is an easy one for me, man. I think Vettori smashes Holland.
How are you going to bet against Lyoto Machida? He said the MMA analysis is a good thing, man.
he's washed.
He's washed.
He's fucking
So is
washed.
Bader. Bader's worse too, though.
Nah, Bader can still wrestle, and Machida loves to get taken down.
If he wants to,
We'll lay on his back now. He would.
Yeah.
He's gonna take fucking Machida down all day long. Watch.
Probably.
Yeah, I like Vettori here big. He's gonna roll here, man. I think Vettori's pretty good, and I hope we get to see him running with Izzy again.
Yeah, I think the obvious pick. Everything about it screams Vettori, right? Like every time, every way you break this in the fight, the short notice, everything else. But I don't know. I see this fight playing on the feet. I don't think Vettori's going to take the smart route here. I think the smart route is obviously what Brunson did. Take Kevin Holland down, beat him up. I don't think Vettori's doing that. I think Vettori is going to stand. I think he's going to be staying standing. I think on the feet, Holland is still dangerous. Holland is a dangerous striker, and he has pretty good strikes.
Is he?
He is. He's long. He's powerful.
Is he dangerous enough to knock this guy out?
No.
I think he's dangerous enough to outpoint him in certain areas. And
Kevin Holland.
On the feet, he's more aggressive. It's on the ground. We just
Like an improv competition, like an open mic. Like whoever talks more wins the round. Is that what's going on here?
I think he's learned from the talking showboating
from 2 weeks ago.
Holland.
He had
3 weeks back.
Think how much shit he got and everything else. I think Holland.
He doesn't care.
He said he doesn't care. He said, "That's me. I'm gonna do it."
He said in an interview 2 days ago he's learned and he's not going to talk as much in his fights anymore.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
If he loses this fight, say goodbye to anything big. I just think this fight's going to play on the feet, and I don't think on the feet. I don't think Vettori should be that big of a favorite if the fight's going to play on the feet, and that's how I see it playing out. That doesn't mean I'm definitely betting Holland. I don't know yet. I'll probably end up putting a small play on him. I just think this is going to be 25 minutes on the feet and 25 minutes on the feet in a striking battle between Holland and Vettori. I think plus 300 almost warrants. So it's getting there. Almost warrants a small stab on Holland because I do think Holland can win this fight. I am not overly sold on Vettori. I think we learned what Jack Hermanson is. So that win, to me, isn't as big as it should be.
Does Vettori stay
not as big as like a win over Jacare,
the legend in the
so like Vettori's going to stay at range and kickbox Kevin Holland.
Holland's way longer.
That's what I'm saying. Vettori's going
and he doesn't know how. He doesn't know how to use.
Vittori's going right at. Vettori doesn't sit at range and kickbox. That dude goes right in on motherfuckers and backs them up.
If he clinches against the cage and works takedowns, it's going to be the easiest win ever. I just feel like this fight's going to be on the feet more time than not, and I don't know. We'll see. Kevin Holland's great cardio. I would not worry about Kevin Holland's cardio. I worry about his brain. It's not a good brain. It's a bad brain, but I think.
I mean, his cardio didn't look good against Darren Stewart and shit in the third round, like Darren fucking Stewart, who just got fucking destroyed again.
Darren Stewart's the truth. First of all, I mean, there's not many better than old Darren Stewart.
There's not many better black Englishmen than Darren Stewart. That's for fucking sure.
I don't know if I'd put Vettori against a capable human being with that big of a line. And I think Holland's still a capable human being. I'm not sold on an Italian fighter. Look, weighing that kind of juice. So I lean Kevin Holland here slightly. If I do bet this, it's going to be my smallest bet in the card. But I think it might be worth a small little snap. But all right, that'll do it for the card. Somehow we talked for a long time.
We had like 27 fights.
Yeah, there was a lot.
Yeah, there was only a couple real bad fights we didn't have to cover too much. But interesting card, some interesting matchups here, some decent fights, especially on the main card, some interesting stuff, some fun prelims that we get Thiccc Willie. So it could be worse. So we always appreciate all you guys listening, especially our friend MMA Bully. We know
even you, Marley. MMA Bully.
Yeah. BroHugs with your lack of your beard situation. I don't know what that is.
Don't fucking Don't fucking try to prank call Dougie again, you fucking sick fuck. You
That's the perfect way to end the show.
stalking fucks.
Yeah. Not good time. Anyway, appreciate you guys listening. We will see you next